Hey everybody, Blair Nightingale here. It's Market Monday. I have been hinting at this one for a couple of months now, actually. Today's episode starting right now. This is going to be our options preview today. We are going to do this. I said we'd do it before the end of the year, 2 years now. 2 years of Market Monday episodes. You can always go back, watch the old ones on YouTube. We got friends here from Facebook, our Facebook alumni group, our YouTube fans, but you can go back on YouTube wherever you're coming from today. You can jump over to YouTube and you'll see all the previous episodes. That said, 2 years we've not done an options preview. Now, so much of what we do here at Tradeway is options. Some of you don't even know what options are yet, right? Some of you have a little bit of an idea, and some of you are actively trading them already. But if you're in a Tradeway program or you've been around us long enough, even just here on Facebook and YouTube, you know we mention this thing called options. And today, I'm going to give you a preview of what they are. And today's episode is going to be a streamline for you, right? I'm going to help you understand what they are and how they work faster than, you could go out and you could buy a whole book on options, and the time it's going to take you to read that book and get an understanding of it, assuming that it's written clearly, we're going to do that today. We're going to do that today, right here. Okay. So understanding options and what they can do and why they're so cool and why we love them so much here at Tradeway. That's what I'm going to talk about today. Of course, this also gives you the opportunity to ask questions as we go, right? You can go online, you can just watch videos, but here we have an opportunity for questions, even if you're joining us on the recording after this session is done. Okay. You can always post YouTube, Facebook. Our team is watching for those comments and questions. They'll send them on over to me. They'll get those answered for you. It's a tremendous resource for those of you that are starting trading, advanced at trading, or just curious about trading stocks today, looking a little bit at options. Now, I know when I even say options, if you don't have any previous experience with this, you might not even know, what is he even referring to? Does this have something to do with stocks? We can trade stock when we are in the stock market, right? That's why we call it stock market. But there's something in the stock market, it's all connected, called options. And that's what I want to talk about today. Mario dropping a good evening right there in the comment box. Of course, you always can ask your questions right. For me, it's right over here, right? Drop that in the comment box, and you can let me know that you're here. You can let me know where you're from. You can let me know whatever you want to let me know. I will be watching that as we go through the program tonight. And of course, questions are going to be dropped right in there. Good evening to you too, Mario. Good evening to everybody else out there tonight. Let's dive right in, because I got some ground I want to cover today. Okay, and then I want to make sure that we have some space and time for questions if we have them by the time we get to the end of this preview. I want to give you an upgrade in this session. And I mean that. There is something that you can do with options if you'll know what they are, which I'm going to explain. Okay, why they can benefit you. Like, what's the potential benefit here? Just those two things. What is it? And why would I care? If we could just say it plainly, like, what is it and why should I care? Why should I care to learn something else that feels, sounds, looks unfamiliar? Is this just some kind of, forgive me for saying, nerdy market thing, some Wall Street term that's very technical? And no, this is something we can boil down, break down to very simple terms so that anyone can learn how to use them and understand, why would I even want to do that, right? I'm not going to jump ahead of myself and give the reasons why just yet. We're going to go through a flow here, but that's what I want you to take from tonight's session, okay? What is it and why should I care? In other words, how can it benefit you? How can it benefit your trading? How can this be a financial opportunity for you that's as good, and in some cases greater, than stock, okay? So Ruben says, good evening, Blair, and everyone else. I'm going to pop this up here. He said hello to everybody. Looking forward to a new learning experience. And that's what we're going to do tonight, okay? So I mentioned stock trading, right? That's what we talk about on here all the time, right? When we talk about Market Monday, we're talking about the market, which is the stock market, right? You don't typically hear people say the options market. It's the stock market. We're talking about companies that sell stock. I can go in, I can learn what stock should I buy? Why would I buy it? When would I buy it? And when would I sell it? Right? That's what we talk about. And we've done that, as I mentioned, for 2 years. But there is more to it than we realize. And these things that we don't know can actually benefit us tremendously. So stock trading is awesome, but it gets even better than that. It does get even better than that. So let me ask you a couple of questions to set this up. Okay. If you're looking at the market, in fact, you know what? Let's just go ahead and pull it up here. Why not put it on the screen? Wasn't going to do it tonight, but now that I'm not doing it, I feel like it just should be up there. So let's go ahead and get a chart that we are used to on Market Monday seeing here up on the screen. And there it is for you. Okay. So you can see a stock there. That's actually the NASDAQ from today. NASDAQ made a high, started to drop today. So let's just look at this for a second. Go into one of my watch lists here. And we can sort this by the price. Okay. So we've got some very low dollar stocks here. What's the thing about trading stocks that are lower dollar, right? Cheaper stocks. Well, there's a lot I could say about that, but the most basic thing is that while just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's good, right? Look at this stock we've got on the screen right now. It's just moving down, right? So it's cheap, but is that a good thing? Not necessarily, right? There's a reason it's cheap because they keep selling it. Nobody's buying the stock. So clearly the market doesn't have much confidence in this. So I don't want to buy something just because it's cheap. All right. I need to say that on the outset here. But one of the benefits of finding good stocks that are in a lower price range is that you and I have more leverage, right? If I buy one share and the stock goes up $1, I made $1, right? I could do the exact same trade, right? On that same stock, went up $1, but I bought 10 shares. Okay, I made $10. Exact same trade, but I bought 100 shares. I made $100 and so on, right? What's the cool thing there? Well, I can buy more shares. I have more leverage. More leverage. I didn't have to do a better trade. I could do the exact same trade. And if this went from right here, 512 up to 670, right? Let's just say $5 to 670, right? That's $1.70 increase. So every share is $1.70. You don't have to go out and find a trade where it goes to the moon, right? If it moves up $1.70, it just depends on how many shares you purchase. Now, this would be a terrible trade. I'm simply using that as an example because it's right in front of us. Right? Terrible in the sense that as a whole, this is moving downwards. But you're looking at these companies that have the ability for somebody trading, unless you have a really large trading account and you're willing to take a significant amount of risk with that trading account, you're going to be looking for stocks that are lower dollar. What's the problem with that? Well, I just mentioned two of them. Okay. Let's look at, here's a company, Amazon, $3,500 a share. This is a trade I posted for some of our students last week. Now you can see it's in the last 2 days, it's dropped, right? But we posted this because it has a great pattern, right? It hits support. I posted it on this day. So what did it do? It struggled at first and then moved up. We listed a target of $690, which was the previous high. Now, this was just a paper trade, right? This was just a virtual trade, but it was a good example for us to run through. So it actually made it up to $700 and then began to pull back. Anytime it goes up part way and comes back, we teach our students how to use the system so that we don't actually ride it all the way down. So I'm actually not worried about the fact that it came back down because it went to this previous high at 690, and that's what we were looking for. What's my point, though? Well, if you're coming in here and you're saying, Blair, that's all good and well, thanks for showing us that, but, you know, that's $660. I would love to be able to get into a 600 and, well, at this point, about 650, right? If we're talking down here, not today's close, but talking right down here. I would love to be able to get in at 650 and sell at 700. That's $50 a share, but I can't get a lot of leverage on that. I can't buy a lot. And if I do buy a lot or buy more, that's a lot of risk on the table for me. I'm taking all of my capital, assuming you have a bigger account, to trade that stock. So what's happening? We're starting to say some of the best companies and patterns out there are too expensive for my account. Maybe I have a small account. That's another one. I'm starting small. I'm not starting huge. So does that mean I have to sit on the sidelines with some of the best growth companies out there in the stock market? And number three, I'm not able to get a lot of leverage. So these are some problems we can have as traders. Stock trading is great, but what if we had another tool in our tool belt and we're looking at options in that scenario, right? That's why I want to introduce you. So I'm setting this up. Where do we even see options kind of coming in, and how can we set the stage for that to be something that we go, ooh, this is a game changer for me. I'm just starting. I want to risk less. I don't have a very big account. I would like access to the best growth companies in the market, even though they're higher priced in a lot of cases, right? And we're looking at, when I say higher price, typically for stock around Tradeway for us, we're looking at $20 to $30. I should say $30 and less is really the sweet spot we're looking at for stock for most people. Okay. But there's a lot of really great companies that make nice moves that are above $30, right? So do we have to sit on the sidelines and never trade those? Options can address all of these things, right? So have you ever looked at higher dollar stocks and wished, man, I wish I could trade that without putting my whole account in, or maybe I don't have enough even with my whole account and I don't want to do that, right? That's too much risk. You can actually trade these with options. I'm going to show you how, right? Are you starting with a small account? I know I'm speaking to some people. You say, well, Blair, what's a small account? Well, that's relative. Small account is relative. But if you're starting with 2,000, right, 5,000, 10,000, even 15,000, right? Some of these numbers don't feel small, but when we're going and we're buying an amount of stock in these growth companies, that actually gives us some real leverage. You're looking at spending at least that in a single trade in some cases. Now, give or take for sure, depending on the specific example we're talking about. I don't want to be too extreme with that, but it can take a lot of money. It can take a lot of money. And options puts us in a position where we actually don't have to spend a lot of money and we can still get into those amazing growth companies. Okay? If you're starting with a small account, you can leverage your money powerfully using borrowed money. No, that's something that people can do in the stock market. But that's actually might be a major turnoff for some of you guys out there. You thought, man, it's just too risky. You've learned now watching Market Monday that trading is not guessing. It's not gambling. And it's not just going for it, throwing money at the market and seeing what sticks. That's not trading. We've talked about that now for 3 years. But we might actually still be feeling like we have a small account, but in order to leverage that, we have to borrow money from the broker. And that can be super risky. Options, you don't have to do that. You can get leverage without doing that. So what's happening now? We're doing something with less risk. That sounds good to me. More potential and less risk in one way. That's a huge thing. Here's another thing I'll just throw out there quick. What if the market's moving down? Right now, I've hinted at this multiple times. In fact, we've actually taught on this a little bit in the past. If the market's moving down, you know what options gives me the potential to do? Not just leveraging the higher dollar stocks, right? Not just enormous potential, but I can actually start to trade the market in a completely different way. Typically, with a stock, of course, we're looking at buy low, sell high. That's what we'd like to do, right? We're going to buy it. And if it moves up, we can sell it at a higher price. But when the stock is falling, we pretty much have to stand on the sidelines, right? That means we're out as long as it's falling, or it's too risky in that we We expect, right? There's a high probability that the market's going to fall. We're standing on the sidelines until that washes out of the market, right? But with options, we can stand to profit, right? This is the potential. When the market moves up, we can make money. When the market moves down, we could make money. That's the potential of it. Because now we can use options on the way up and on the way down. Okay. That is a game changer. If we go back to here, let's see if I'm going to get this ticker right here. Okay, so I also posted this last week in here. Okay, now it wasn't at a buy point, it was at resistance for our stock trading students. The market goes up, it broke resistance a little bit, but we've seen in the last few days, what did it do? Boom, came down to support. Now it's not bouncing at support, so we don't know. Let me grab an arrow here. We don't know if this is going to be a good up trade or not, right? I haven't seen the green here, right? I haven't seen the buyers, but I'll tell you what did happen. The market, or excuse me, the stock hit resistance. And what did it do? It did what rolling stocks do. It did it here. It did it here. It did it here. It did it here. Now it hesitated, but it did it. Now there was also earnings there. So keep that in mind. We've talked about that. Then what did it do? It moved up and back down. It just did what the pattern's been doing. I don't have a crystal ball, right? This isn't just hindsight. There is a way to look at the pattern and say, what is this most likely to do? I saw you guys have dropped a lot of comments there. So just give me a sec. I'm going to jump into those. With options, I could stand to not only be a part of that, but also be a part of that, which is what it did here and here and here and here, like I said, right? So that's another thing about options. Now, what does that mean for you? It means more opportunity. Trading for us here at Tradeway, we love trading. We love trading. We love the markets. We love talking about this. We love working with our students. But trading isn't really about trading for any of us at Tradeway, okay? For the most part, right? Again, we like it. In fact, we love it. But it's really about, what's this going to do for my family? What's this going to do for my financial goals? What's this going to do for the kingdom? All of these things rolled into one, right? This is where we feel like we've been led. This is where we feel like we've been called even. And I know a lot of you students feel the same way. In fact, some of you guys out there, you've been praying. You've been asking for an open door, a way to move forward, something, a tool in your hand to transform your family's financial situation, future, okay? This is something we've found, a journey we've been on, and we're just inviting you onto that journey as well. And in that journey, learning to do options, look at what would happen here. We wouldn't just trade this, we could trade these. And that gives us the potential to, even just in this chart here, let's just use this chart as an example, to double the opportunities we could have, okay? That's a huge benefit. You say, well, why wouldn't I do that? Because I just don't know how. That sounds great, Blair, but I don't know what an option is. I don't know how they work. I don't know anything about this. Or maybe I know a little, but I know just enough to be dangerous. In fact, maybe some people have told me, oof, options are super risky. Shouldn't trade options. Sometimes people tell us that, right? They've been told that by somebody. Maybe somebody who tried trading options but didn't have any skill set, didn't have any education. Maybe they lost some money on a trade and said, that's it. I'm out. No more trading options, right? Which is, I would say, sad to us, because there is such an opportunity to learn how to use them and learn how to use them safely, that to write them off like that and never do it again certainly is an individual's decision, right? But it's a loss of a great opportunity if it's because we just didn't know how to do it. Here at Tradeway, we want to help you know how to do it. So that's the beauty. Now, I said we're going to talk about the benefits and what it is. We've talked about some of those questions first, because I want you to understand the benefits. And before I even go into what it is, I want you to understand, why does this even matter? Why would this even be important? Why wouldn't we just stick to stocks, right? It can be comfortable for us to just take the thing that feels simpler and say, you know what, I'm just going to stay there. But at Tradeway, we're always trying to help our students move forward with comfort and confidence, right? We don't want to overwhelm, but we want to move forward because we know, hey, there's some really, really useful tools here. And it may seem awkward or it may seem unfamiliar, but it just take a little bit of time with these things. It actually isn't that hard. In fact, I'm sure we've got students on here right now who, when you started, you had no idea what an option is. And now maybe that's all you trade. Now, I started in 2015. I've told you guys that, trading stock. And I did one stock trade before I moved on to options, right? I was in the program and I had access to a stock training program, but I also had access to an options training program. I'd heard these same benefits, and that gave me the confidence to move into that part of the program. And once I saw the benefits of options for me, I just didn't even look back. Now, I've done stock trades since then, but for a long time, all I did was options. Why would I do that? Because what I'm telling you is 100% true. The benefit of options is just massive. It's just massive. So let me pause there, hit some of these comments. Jeffrey's on with us, giving us the weather in Colorado. He says winter's coming. That's certainly true. I'm out in California right now. It's definitely cooler here than it was in Texas. Benjamin, you made it. Thanks for being on, man. Jeffrey, trading is a tool to advance the kingdom. It certainly can be. It certainly can be. And then I think maybe somebody hit a sad face on here, and Jeffrey's one. So I'm just checking through that. Thanks for commenting, guys. Let me know if you have any questions as we go on here. So that's kind of the why, but let's get to the what. Okay. Now, I think this is going to be cool because some of you who don't know what an option is, I'm going to explain this to you, and I'm going to do it in a way that I think it's much easier to understand than a few of the other ways maybe we could describe options. But also for those of us who are on, I hope that this is a refresher and helps you go, yeah, I maybe missed one piece of this, or it was good for me to really understand this more clearly. And that's what I aim to do in this section of tonight, because I want you to understand what it is. And then I'm going to come back and talk about some of those benefits again. I think it's going to settle in for us. What I want you to get here is I can definitely learn to trade options, and I can learn what they are. I can learn how to be safe with them. And those benefits, right? Those potential benefits that options have, that doesn't have to be for somebody else. If I want to learn how to do that, I can learn how to do that too. That's what I want you to walk away with here tonight. So, what is an option? Here's a real world example that makes this easier. Okay. So, let's talk in real estate. Okay. Let's talk in real estate for a little bit, because this, I think, will make it a lot simpler. Okay. So let's say there's a person. I'm going to pick somebody who's commented here. Let's go with Mario, because Mario is our first comment tonight. So let's just say Mario, this is just fictitious, but let's say Mario, he's looking to get into real estate investing. He wants to put his money to work. Our friend Myron says the reason we have a JOB is because our money is unemployed, right? 6.2% inflation right now, by the way, highest rate since the early 90s, meaning your money is losing more buying power this year than it has in that time frame since 1990, meaning your money is worth less, and it's rapidly becoming worth less. So we've got to find ways to make money with the money. Real estate is one of those ways. So here's an investing opportunity. Mario, let's just say, is looking to get into real estate investing, right? He wants his money to be working for him. Okay. Instead of working for money, he's going to make money work for him. What's the one of the ways he can do that? Real estate investing. Okay. So he's looking at the open market. He finds this property, finds a house, and he has a reason to believe that this specific house is going to rise in value. So he's interested in that house. He's interested in buying that house. Okay. Real estate market, very hot right now, especially where I'm at out here in California. So he's going to buy that. Now, the seller of that house is asking $250,000 for the house. Now, I'm just going to use easy numbers today, okay, just for understanding's sake. So the seller of the house is asking $250,000. So what can we do here? Well, Mario, of course, this is the most obvious answer. He could simply, as the buyer, go to the seller and say, I'd like to buy the home, okay, right? Cash sale, financing, whatever it is, He's going to have to buy the house from the seller, and he'll pay them $250,000, and then he'll what? He'll own the house. If the house appreciates in value and he sells it, he will make the difference. Let's say the house rises to $275,000, and he's able to sell that house on the open market for that price. He's going to pocket the $25,000 difference, right? Whatever the time frame might be. Again, we're just using easy numbers here. He will stand to benefit. That's just like doing stock, right? You go out, there's a price on the stock, you purchase the stock, you're an owner, and if the price appreciates, goes up, when you sell the stock, you stand to benefit for however much that stock appreciated. You bought it at 10 and you sold it at 20, you made $10 a share, right? Everybody's pretty much got that. That's a very basic description of it, but that's how the stock market works, okay? But remember what we talked about already. What if you go, I don't have $250,000, or I really want that house, but I don't have the capital. Maybe I don't have the credit, right? I can't get into that house for the price of that house. Or there's a neighborhood and this isn't insider information, right? So this wouldn't be a company thing, but let's just say you knew, man, Disneyland is looking at buying this land, right? Or Disney, let's say. They want to build a theme park close to this area. They haven't said it yet, but there's heavy speculation, or maybe like some friends down in Austin who knew that Tesla was coming and all these big companies, right? So people speculate on the real estate market and say, no, I want to buy a stock in this area, but I don't have enough money to buy that, right? I might have enough money to buy some other houses, but I'm not interested in those. I'm interested in these. Mario says, no, I want it in that city. I want it in that district because I think that's the best real estate, or the best investment opportunity. What could he do, right? What kind of choices does he have other than just coming up with the cash and buying the house for the sticker price, if you will? Okay, right? Maybe he has the money. He just doesn't want to go all in on it. Maybe he doesn't want to take that much risk on it because he has reason to believe that Disney's going to come in. And if they do, speculating that it's really going to lift the price of that house, but he doesn't have a guarantee, right? He doesn't have a guarantee that's going to happen. So he doesn't really want to risk all his capital. So there's two sides to that, right? I want to get in there, but I may not have it. I might have a small trading account or smaller trading account, or I just don't want to risk that much, right? So what could he do? Well, let's look at scenario B, right? We just described scenario A. Let's look at scenario B. I want to make sure we don't have any questions. I see your question there, Benjamin. I'm going to come back to that, okay? Scenario B says, all right, let's do this instead. Okay, Mario's the buyer, just fictitious, like I said. Let's say he says, all right, he goes to the homeowner who's selling the property for $250,000. And he says, here's what I'll do. I'm going to pay you 10%, right? We'll just use 10%. I'm going to pay you 10% of the cost of that house, which would be $25,000 in this case, right? 10%. But I'm going to enter into a contract with you. And I'm not buying the house. I'm going to pay you to enter into a contract with me. And the contract says, in this case, in the next 12 months, I get the right, right? Mario says this, I get the right to buy the house at $250,000. Doesn't matter what the market price is at that point. Within the next 12 months, I have the right, not the obligation. I don't have to buy the house, but I'm going to pay you this 25 grand, this 10%, so that I have the right to buy it at 250, which is the price of the house when this contract is signed. And the house, the seller says, all right, for 10% fee, I'll do that. And after 12 months, if you don't buy the house, the contract is simply going to expire. The seller of that contract, right, the person who's selling the house, they're going to take in that 25 grand. And then Mario is going to pay that 25 grand, but he gets that contract. Okay. So the contract says in the next 12 months, I have the right, but not the obligation. I don't have to buy it, right? But I can. Okay. Let's just say, remember I said, we're going to use easy numbers. I want to highlight this, right? I want to highlight the potential here. Let's say in the course of the year, Disney does come in. Disney does come in and the price of that house explodes. That whole area is ripe for development now. It's going to be a huge, huge thing. And the price of real estate in the area explodes. And in 6 months, the house price goes up to $300K. What happened? Well, some news came out, right? He speculated. Turns out he was right. Some news came out. The price of the house went up $50,000. But Mario's pretty happy. Why? Because he has a contract. He has a contract that says, I can buy the house at $250,000. You say, well, wait a second. The market price is now 300. Isn't that what you just said, Blair? Yes, it is. But he can buy it at 25 or 250,000. Why? Because he paid a premium. Remember the 10% he paid for the right, but not the obligation to buy at 250. So Mario could theoretically go and do what? Exercise that contract. Go to the seller of the house and say, all right, I want to buy your house at 250. And the seller has to sell it to him. That was the agreement, right? Has to sell it to him at $250,000. And Mario could hold on to the property now. Now, of course, he would have to then go ahead and pay it, right? He would have to actually purchase the house at full price. So you say, well, Blair, maybe that doesn't really solve our problem because didn't he want to avoid buying that? We'll get back to that in just a second. But you see the power of the contract here, right? He buys it for $250 and he can flip it immediately at the market price of $300. And he pockets what? $50,000 minus the $25,000 that he paid for the contract. So he flips the house and makes an instant, in a sense, $25,000. Okay. So that's what the contract can do if you're right about the house going up in value, right? Now, let's take it a step further. And this is where we really land on what an option does for you as a trader. Okay. What if, because he doesn't want to spend $250,000, maybe he doesn't have it. Okay. Or he has it, but he doesn't want to risk that much, right? He doesn't want to do that. He wants to keep his money for some other things. So he says, all right, I have a contract in my hand that if you exercise it, okay, it's going to net $50,000 in profit, right? Because it says I can purchase a $300,000 house for $250,000. You say, Blair, that would never happen. Well, in this case, because of the contract, it is happening, right? So the contract itself, whoever has the right to exercise that contract, right, has a $50,000 opportunity, a $50,000 opportunity. So what if Mario just says, you know what? I'm not even going to buy the house. I'm going to sell the contract. I'm going to sell the contract. The contract has value in it now. I'm going to sell this contract to somebody who does want to buy the house. And Mario gets in and out of that clean with a profit in this case. Did he ever have to spend $250,000 to buy the whole house? No, he didn't. He spent 10% value, right? $25,000, and was able to pull a $50,000 profit out of it, minus, of course, what he spent on the contract. That's a $25,000 profit. In this case, that's 100% return. It's 100% return, and he never bought the house. So if he only had $50,000 in his trading account, could he ever buy that house? Or I should say $50,000 in his bank account. Now, these are just made up numbers here, right? This isn't real financial information in terms of Mario. I'm just using him as an example here. He's actually able to get into an investment situation that he would not be able to be in any other way, right? he would have to go out and find a property that he could afford at $50,000. Well, what if those opportunities aren't nearly as good, right? He could use the contract in this case to get into a neighborhood that shows promise, right? That actually he's interested in as an investor. He can put in less money, right? Risking less money if it doesn't go his way. And if it does go his way, the leverage is tremendous because now he's a part of a $250,000 property, but only at 10% to get in the game, so to speak. You see how that contract in the scenario was such a game changer. Okay. Such a game changer. Now, let's just draw the parallel. If you haven't picked it out already, right? I'm actually going to get rid of this for a minute. If you haven't picked it out already, the house in this scenario is stock. That's the stock of a company because the house in the real estate market is the asset. Well, in the stock market, it's the stock, right? The stock is ownership in the company. That's the asset. Okay. But if I don't want to buy the asset outright, what if I could do a contract that only costs me about 10%, approximately so, right? There's some fluctuation there, but generally speaking, about 10% the price of the asset. And I can still be a part of the appreciation of that stock through what? Through the contract, just like we just described. It works the same way in the stock market. Okay, now there's some other things on how to safely trade options. Benjamin popped in the comments here. How do I know which option to buy on the option chain? And he's just referring to when we actually go to buy an option that's connected to the stock. How do I do that? Well, remember, there's some things to go over here. Tradeway has extensive courses to train you on how to do this. I don't expect anybody to know how to trade options at the end of today's session. That's why I called it an options preview. It's not because I want to hold back on a bunch of the great information. There's just no way we can cover all of that right here. That's why we have programs. That's why we have memberships. The question is, what are your goals, right? What is the thing that you really want to do? And how could options make that potentially easier for you? That's the whole goal. And then we bring you into the program and we train you on how to do that. Look at what Mario says. I fix up houses for the market, right? For market. Trading is better. It's done both. Trading is better. No insurance, no employees, dealing with customers. We've talked about this before too. The infrastructure of the stock market is all in place for you, right? You need an internet connection and a computer, or in some cases, just a phone. Options are better for me. Can't wait to hang up the hammer and the saw. So there you go. There's a little bit of Mario's why right there. Why does he do this? Why would this be important? It's not about the trading for trading's sake. It's certainly not just about, making money, right? There's always a meaning to that. And that's been such a part of the Tradeway student body for as long as I've been here, is there's a meaning behind it. And a lot of us want to get out of the hammer and saw, because there's some other things that are just weightier. They're just more important. There's people, there's purpose, there's place, and there's partnership. It's more important. And we want to get out of where we're at and get into where we feel like we're called to be. So thank you for sharing that, Mario. Options is beneficial because it can increase leverage. It can increase opportunity frequency, right? Remember I said moving up and moving down. There's a way I can teach you how to use options so that if the price of the house dropped, you could actually benefit. You would make money, right? If the house dropped. We can do that both ways. This is the cool thing about the contract. You say, Blair, I don't understand how I can make money if the house dropped. All we have to do, and we won't go into the details of this today, but all we have to do is change the terms of the contract. And the cool thing is Wall Street's already done it all for you. We just have to show you how to go in and click the buttons. So it's, as a friend of mine says, you just got to know how to do some stuff. You just got to know how to do some stuff. The reason you aren't doing some of the things that you could be doing is because you just don't know how to do it yet. Now, that sounds kind of goofy to say it like that, maybe, but it's real. My point is, what we don't know can hold us back. So why don't we just learn? Why don't we just find out? Why don't we just let somebody show us how? Right? That's what happened to me in 2015. That's what's been happening to me ever since. Right? I just didn't know how to do some stuff. And now that I know how to do some stuff, I can put my money to work for me. Let me share a quick scenario with you. I had this thought, I've never quite thought of it in this way. Let's just talk for a second on what could trading do for me. Here's a goal, right? And we oftentimes in our live events, we want students to pick a goal, right? Where would trading start to really make a difference? We don't want anybody to go out there and write down, I'm going to be a millionaire next month, right? We want realistic goals. We take this, we look at this realistically, and we know the power of this system. So we want to have goals that actually they challenge us and they impact our lives, but there's something that we can really achieve. So let's just take this for example. Just think of a mortgage payment, right? If you have a mortgage payment, think of what your mortgage payment is every month. If you don't have a mortgage payment right now, even just think of what your rent payment is. Okay. Some of you maybe have paid off the house, so you could think what your rent or your mortgage payment was. There's different scenarios on here today, but generally get that number in mind. So we're not talking a crazy dollar amount every month, right? It's an important payment every month, isn't it? It's very significant, right? But it's not so far out there. Okay. Now think about these scenarios. You work your job, like Mario shared, looking to hang up the hammer and saw. So Mario's using the hammer and saw, and he makes money, right? He makes a salary, right? In his job or his business. He takes that money and he spends it on goods and services, right? Maybe toys, things, experiences, trips. I'm not even making a moral comment on whether or not it was well spent or not. Let's just say it was. But when you spend it, it's gone. You made it, you spent it, it's gone, right? That's the base level of what we can do with money. It is gone. It doesn't renew itself. Okay. So let's take it a level deeper. You make some money, right? Again, in the job, in the business, wherever you're at, you put some of it, assuming you have the ability to do so, you put some of it, you say, into your mortgage, right? Into a property. That's what the mortgage payment is, right? Into a property. Now we're on a different level. Okay. We're on a different level because what are we doing? Well, we're putting some of that money into an investment, right? A home, a property, it is an investment. It is an investment. So now it's not just poof, up in smoke, so to speak. It's in an investment. Now I'm going to bring this all the way back around to options. So just track with me here because this is powerful. This really is. This changed my life. Now the money is actually working for you, right? It's in an investment. It's getting put to work. Okay. Now let's take it a step further than that. What if your basic trading goal, okay, was just to make, with your trading account, to make your monthly mortgage cost? That was the goal. I just want to pay my mortgage out of my trading account, right? Let's just say that was the goal. Think about how this plays out for a second. I don't know if you've really thought this through and realize how powerful this really can be. Think about this. You make the money at the job or the business, right? You put that in a trading account. Okay. You make the goal of paying your mortgage. And if you meet that goal, look what happens. Okay. You took money that you made, you put it in your trading account, and you made money with the money that you made. And then you took the money that you made and you put it in to your mortgage where it's making money. I made money. I put it in the trading account. I made money in the trading account. And then I put that into my investment property. So I took money and made money. And then I took the money that I made and I put it into something that has the potential to make even more money. And I saved the money that I used to spend, right, on my mortgage. And I put that to work too. It blew my mind, right? You can take money. Our friend, as I mentioned already, Myron says, the reason we got a JOB is because our money's unemployed. And all of that scenario, that domino scenario that I just went through, kind of somewhat humorously, is putting our money to work. And options is an extremely powerful way. Now, there are risks to investments, right? There's risks to trading. We've talked about that extensively here on Market Monday. How can you and I not guess, gamble, or go for it? We got to learn a system. We got to learn how to manage risk. That's what we teach you to do. We don't want to know just enough to be dangerous. Go out, watch a couple YouTube videos. Go out, read a book on options. Just enough to be dangerous. How about leveraging David's 40 plus years of options experience, plus all the coaches here at Tradeway, and take a goal that's not so pie in the sky. Now, you may say, I haven't made a penny in the market, so the idea of paying my mortgage, that feels challenging. That's okay. It's okay if it feels challenging. But what if it also feels inspiring? Because it's not too crazy. It's not so far out there, right? Now, we could set bigger goals than that, but I'm just starting here and saying, what if we did that? What if I took some money from my job and I put it in my trading account? And what if I was able to meet my goal and I made money with my money? And then I took the money I made and I put that into my investment property, which is my home, where it will be an investment, which can potentially make money. And I take the money that I saved because I didn't have to pay my mortgage out of what I normally pay it out of. And I took that, I put that to work too. Those are two very different scenarios, from just spending it and it's gone to that last scenario that I talked about. Okay. Those are two very different scenarios. And it's a goal that's not so crazy, is it? Right? Not so crazy. I'm popping a link in the comment there. Anybody out there is interested, Blair, I want to learn how to trade options. I want to learn how to trade options. I want to learn how to trade stock. I want to know more than enough just to be dangerous. I want to know how to make my money work for me. I want to know how to trade options so I can trade the market when it goes up, when it goes down. And by the way, I didn't go over this, but we actually have option strategies when the market goes completely sideways. We can make money. You can't do that with stock. It doesn't work that way. Why? Because the contract gives us the flexibility to change the terms. Now, we haven't gone into that. Okay. We don't need to know that today, but I can change the terms of the contract so that the stock just goes completely boring flat. You and I could potentially make money on that. So what happens when the market's not doing really well? What if it's not sinking? What if it's just choppy? We have to sit on the sidelines. If we're trying to force the market to go up and it's not going up, we're going to lose money. If we're trying to force the market to go down and it's not going down, we're going to lose money. So those traders that know how to do a flat trade, they have an advantage. It's just knowing how to do some stuff. So why not let yourself be one of the ones who knows how to do some stuff? There's no reason why you should be the exception. Okay. And I'm going to finish with this. There are ways for you to get to know us at Tradeway if you don't know us well, where somebody out there's thinking, well, that all sounds good and well, Blair, but I'm not so sure it works. I'm not so sure it works, right? Let us build that relationship and trust with you. You can head on over to tradeway.com. Right there on our main page of our website, you can join us for a step one, start your journey. It's an introductory class. We're going to teach you our system. You're going to get to know us. You're going to get to know Tradeway. You're going to get to know how to do this, but you're also going to get to know us a little bit. Okay. You're going to get to know us. And that's at a very low cost, very low risk to you, right? We want to help people discover the opportunity. If you have been praying for an oak tree, I would say today, don't ask me. This isn't for me to say, right? I want to present this opportunity, but I will always say to people online and in our live events, I've quoted this for years. David said, I keep the Lord always before me. You can ask, I can ask, God, what do you say? What do you want? Where are you leading me? Because maybe you've been praying for an oak tree and this is your acorn. And that's how I started, which is why I feel the boldness to say that, because that is how I started, right? I was in a place in my life where I'd come off the mission field. This is my story. This isn't necessarily your story. We all have our own story, but I was in a place where I had financial needs and financial goals. I had a lot to learn, right? I'd been on the mission field. I'd lived and done the whole poverty is spiritual thing. And I was asking God to teach me more. I was asking for an oak tree This was my acorn. Maybe that's speaking to somebody out there as well. That said, options, very, very cool. Does not have to be so complicated. Just got to know how to do a few things. Let us join you, show you how to do a few things. We've gone a little bit over today. I'm okay with that because I wanted to give you an extensive preview. Market Monday, options, the benefits of options, the power of options, and how to do it safely right there in the tradeway.com memberships. You can click that link, open it up. Always right here, Facebook, YouTube. Any questions you have about those memberships, be sure to let us know. Post it right there in the comment box. You can always email us, support@tradeway.com, care of Market Monday. Ask me any questions you want to ask about those memberships or anything else we've talked about. They will send that to me. I will get it. I will respond to you personally. Would be happy to do that. Please send it on over. And hey, thanks guys for being on with me tonight. You spent 50 minutes and 50 seconds with me on Monday night. I value that. Your time is very valuable, and you took some time away from the family to spend with us here at Tradeway tonight. We value that, so we appreciate it. I want to say thank you so much. Hope you guys have an amazing Thanksgiving. This is my favorite time of year. Holler at me if this is your favorite time of year too, but I want to say have a great and very happy Thanksgiving. We got Christmas right around the corner. It's going to come. It's going to go fast, so enjoy it. Squeeze a loved one. Say you love them. And have yourselves a good one. Thanks so much, guys. Good night.